All right, there's breaking news coming in on the broadcast. British Prime Minister Theresa May and Prime Minister Modi met on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Hamburg today. Prime Minister Modi has asked for cooperation from the British PM as far as return of escaped Indian economic offenders is concerned. Sources have confirmed to your network that Indian government has requested that hearing of Vijay Mallya's extradition should in fact be close-ended and in fact should get over by December in a time-bound manner in the UK court. Okay, I have my colleague Ashish Singh joining us live on this broadcast. Ashish, this is the second time that Prime Minister Modi has raised the issue of Vijay Mallya's extradition request, speedy extradition, with the British Prime Minister Theresa May. What are the chances that this would really speed up the entire process?
When the highest authority in a government talks to the highest authority in the other government for some specific reason, it's certainly going to create a lot of speed, and also the way case has been moving so far was very slow, but now it's going to generate a lot of momentum. Certainly Prime Minister Modi, who is emerging as one of the global leaders, when he has spoken to British Prime Minister Theresa May specifically on the issue of bringing back all the Indian offenders who are wanted in economic cases, that will certainly put a lot of pressure on the UK establishment. Although the case is being heard of Mallya's returning to India as far as the extradition aspect is concerned by a London court, but once that judicial process is completed, the entire UK government will certainly expect it to get the momentum rolling, and also ensure that the entire process of extradition of Vijay Mallya, if the court gives in favor of Indian government the order, will be completed as soon as possible. This is something that is going to generate a lot of momentum, positive in the favor of Indian government. Remember, Prime Minister Modi has been of the opinion that all the economic offenders, this is not the first time, in various speeches in public forums, he has maintained always that people who have earned black money, who are out of country, or people who have stashed black money in Swiss banks, all of them must be brought back to India as soon as possible. If you see Vijay Mallya's case in last 4 months, the Indian agencies, obviously through the Indian Ministry of External Affairs, through his diplomatic circles as well, parallelly, both of them have created a lot of pressure, both on the Interpol, or in case of a few other economic offenders, both in terms of diplomatic communication between Indian government and the UK government.
Right.
And this certainly is going to reach one of the highest points between Indian and UK government's communication, specifically for Vijay Mallya.
Right. Ashish, what I want to ask you is the fact that there is a case that is currently on. The sense that one has been getting of late is that economic offences are a separate category as compared to some of the other offences, which is why extradition in economic offences is not that simple. There has only been one extradition that has really happened from UK, despite the fact that India-UK really signed the extradition treaty 25 years back. There has only been one extradition. That also in the case relating to a suspect as far as the post-Godhra riots is concerned. So the question I want to ask you is that economic offences are not in the same category as some of the other offences. Do you think that perception will change with the meeting that is really taking place at the highest level between Prime Minister Modi and Theresa May?
Corey, that's precisely the reason why Prime Minister Modi has taken this initiative. The Indian government and the Indian agencies are aware, specifically the agencies who are involved in Vijay Mallya's case, like Enforcement Directorate and the CBI. They are aware that the grounds are not strong enough. There is hardly any precedence as far as bringing back Indians are concerned. And considering those aspects, it's extremely important for the highest authority in the government, Prime Minister Modi, to intervene here. He has taken an initiative, and that would certainly going to create a lot of pressure on the UK government. See, there is a judicial process already underway. Vijay Mallya has approached the court as far as his extradition is concerned. That is something that is being heard. The UK government cannot interfere in the judicial process. But what is Prime Minister Modi's initiative as far as bringing back Vijay Mallya is concerned from London going to do is it will create a lot of pressure on the UK establishment, excluding judiciary. There would be officers, there would be the Foreign Affairs Department of the UK government. All of them will now.
All right, Ashish, many thanks for breaking that big story down for us. We've got Nalin Kohli joining us on the phone line. Nalin Kohli, senior BJP leader. Many thanks for joining us on this broadcast. This is me, Gauri Dwivedi, in the studio. Mr. Kohli, my question to you is that the fact that Prime Minister Modi raised the extradition issue of Vijay Mallya is a huge step. But the fact is, this is not the first time he has raised this issue with Theresa May. What are the chances that this will speed up the entire process?
There are three parts to your question. The first is, it's not a huge step now. Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and his government's commitment to take action against those who have acquired black money, who have got assets abroad, illegally got, or those who are leaving the country and avoiding facing the due process of law here and working towards their extradition is a continuous thing from day one. That's why in the very first cabinet meeting, the SIT, which was pending for 4 years against black money, the SIT under the Supreme Court order, yet pending, was immediately constituted. So that intent has been there from day one. The second part is, the Prime Minister, obviously, bringing it up with the Prime Minister of UK, as Modi ji speaking with Theresa May, that itself shows that the government is serious, reaffirms that the government wants the British government to extend the full possible help that it can to ensure that the correct thing is done, which is in seeing that the extradition process is fought by the states there, because after all it's in the UK, in a manner that it would lead to, hopefully, the extradition of the concerned person. In this case could be Mr. Vijay Mallya, could be Mr. Lalit Modi or anyone else.
Right.
The third part to it is, what are the likely chances? That's a due process of law. And that is based on what the British courts or the department, in terms of what's being fought there. Now, Mr. Mallya, Mr. Modi, anybody else are in their legal rights to engage their advocates who will obviously oppose it. And that is the process of law which one won't like to predict.
Right.
But that the government's intent is clear. That does not require a prediction. The government is taking all the steps. That also doesn't require a prediction.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Kohli, stay with us. We've also got Vikas Singh as well as Priyanka Chaturvedi joining us on this story. First up, let me go across to Mr. Vikas Singh. Sir, my question to you really is, the fact is that at the end of the day, it is a legal proceeding, and the legal proceeding, of course, really will decide the next course of action. In your sense, in your assessment, India has all along been maintaining that it has a very strong case. It has submitted more proof to the UK government. The case is currently on. 4th of December is when the hearing will take place. In your sense, do you think there can be any realistic timeline that can be put if at all the extradition happens?
Well, the time limits are quite well defined in the sense that it is not like the Indian courts which go on and on. In England, you will find the hearing, I believe it has been fixed for December, so you should get a verdict by January. So that should not be a problem as far as the verdict is concerned in this matter.
Okay, 4th of December is when the hearing is going to take place. But the other important bit that I wanted to ask you is, the fact is that as far as this proceeding is concerned, this case is concerned, it is, of course, a matter of law. It has to be decided there. In the event that India does not have a view in its favor, is there a way to take this up forward? Are there more legal provisions that India can exploit?
Yeah, there is an appeal provision. So if the decision goes against India, then there is an appellate provision where this issue can be challenged further. And you can say that the original court has committed an error for whatever reasons you feel. And if you feel that you had a very good case and if the court has not appreciated the facts properly, you can always go and appeal. But in my view, this is really not a case for extradition. This is a case where to say that money laundering had taken place at a time when nobody questioned the original decision,
Right.
is very difficult to establish. Just because the loan has become bad doesn't mean that the money which was transferred at that point of time if the loan had been repaid, could they still say that it is a money laundering case? That's a real test.
That's a very valid point.
I'm sure there would.
Mr.
There
Vikas Singh, Nalin Kohli, I just want you to hold your thoughts for 30 seconds. Let me get in Javier, who is in Hamburg from DW as part of this broadcast. Let me just go across to Javier for a quick comment, really. My question to you, Javier, is that there was a meeting, a very crucial meeting that took place between Prime Minister Modi and British Prime Minister Theresa May, and the issue of Vijay Mallya's extradition came up. Any more details that you have that you can share with us? Javier?
Well, actually, I would probably not be able to add more than what you have just presented, as this is, of course, a case that is very specific to the Indian and British relations. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
A little delay, but I think you can still hear me, so I'm just going to continue what I was telling you. But I think the perspective that I can deliver is how this is perceived at the G20 summit. You know, for someone who perhaps does not live in India, this case might not even be that well known. But it is very well known that Prime Minister Modi wants to set very clear messages here at the G20 summit, and one of them is India's seriousness as an investment destination, as far as not only the investment possibilities are concerned, but also the security, the reduction of risks for investments. And as part of that, transparency is very important. The fight against impunity and prosecution against economic offenses is also very important. So that is why probably he will set this in the agenda in a bilateral meeting, even though the case might not necessarily be that G20-ish, if you will, as compared to what other bilateral meetings usually present.
Javier, one more quick question. You did point out very valid observations that at the end of the day, Prime Minister Modi is really looking to make a strong pitch as far as India as a strong investment destination is concerned. And he's sending out a message by the fact that saying that India will go after economic offenders and walk the extra mile to ensure that the business climate is conducive. The question I want to ask you is that messaging going across? Do you see that? What is the perception that you're getting from Hamburg? There are a lot of bilaterals that took place between Prime Minister Modi and a lot of other nations as well. Trade is a very important part of the entire delegation's agenda. What is it that you're picking up on that front?
Well, it is definitely getting across. The message is getting across. It has been getting across even before the G20 summit, as we know. It is always, let's say, easier for a leader to present itself as an investment destination when the economy is going strong, and we know that that is the case for India. Even though India, of course, has a lot of challenges ahead, we know that, but it's important that the leader is at least sending a clear signal that the country is working on them, and I think that has been very clearly stated here at the summit. And there's also a very important topic that relates to that directly: climate change. We always talk about climate change, but we forget that climate change is also an economic issue. It's a very economic issue, in fact, as innovation in the energy sector is driven by renewables already, not by fossil fuels, for example. And India also wants to be a part of that revolution, but not only just simply going for renewable energy, but also creating jobs in the companies that are producing the infrastructure and also the equipment for renewable energies. So that goes definitely hand in hand with the agenda, and by the very strong statement for the fight against climate change that Prime Minister Modi has also said here. So it does have, let's say, a very harmonious perspective and a very clear message from what we have seen from the Indian delegation so far.
Yeah, we leave it there. Javier, of course, joining us from DW as part of this special broadcast between DW and NewsX, decoding that big story down for us. Prime Minister Modi, of course, pitched and took the issue of Vijay Mallya at the highest level. Shifting gears.